Chapter 1 Tom Bombadil, The Enigma of Middle-earth. Tom Bombadil is more than an oddity in Middle-earth. He is a philosophical paradox, a character who embodies an age-old debate. What lies beyond power, conflict, and desire? Tolkien called him oldest and fatherless, a being who precedes even the concept of beginning. To make sense of Bombadil, we must look to the foundations of Tolkien's cosmology, to concepts of being and time that even his closest readers have debated. Is Bombadil an Ainur, a Maya, or something even older, a fragment of creation itself, existing before Arda's cycles began? To understand Bombadil, we must start with the music of the Ainur, the great cosmic symphony that created the world. When the Ainur sang, they wove creation into being, yet Bombadil's immunity to the ring's corruptive influence suggests he is not bound by that music's unfolding. He doesn't belong to any of the established hierarchies. He isn't one of the Valar, the High Guardians of Arda, nor a Maya, a spirit like Gandalf or Sauron. This freedom implies that Bombadil might exist in a state closer to Eru Ilúvatar himself, something uncreated, untouched by the world's patterns of power. Bombadil's immunity to the ring challenges the entire moral and power structure of Middle-earth. In Tolkien's world, the ring amplifies desire, revealing the nature of any being it touches. Gandalf fears it, Galadriel resists it, and Sauron would wield it to rule. Yet Bombadil sees it as a curiosity, unaffected by its lure. Scholars argue that this immunity places him outside the metaphysical cycle of Arda. It's as if he exists in a state of prelepsarian innocence, a being untouched by both good and evil, because he exists outside the moral continuum entirely. Bombadil isn't just a spirit of nature. He might be a vision of Middle-earth as it was intended to be, a world before corruption, untouched by even the concept of power. Bombadil also has striking parallels in myth and folklore, such as the Green Man, a symbol of nature's regenerative force, and one that predates Christianity. But Bombadil goes further. He represents a form of existence that values being over doing. He's uninterested in dominion or influence, embodying instead a timeless joy. Some scholars suggest he's akin to a genus loci, a protective spirit tied to a place, while others see him as a commentary on the limitations of power. In Tolkien's world, power is nearly always corruptive, but Bombadil, by existing outside its pool, becomes a living contradiction, a challenge to the very foundations of Middle-earth struggles. Philosophically, Bombadil could represent the ultimate pacifist, a figure who is rather than one who acts. He embodies a state of pure being, a form of existence that predates even choice itself. In a way, Tolkien uses Bombadil to present an unsolvable riddle. Can a character exist in a world of conflict while remaining entirely indifferent to it? Bombadil forces us to consider that perhaps not all mysteries have answers, that there are aspects of the world and Middle-earth that defy comprehension. Bombadil and Goldberry live as pure embodiments of land and water, elemental and self-contained, unaffected by the narrative of power. Chapter 2: The Entwives, A Vanished Legacy. The Entwives are one of Tolkien's most poignant mysteries, embodying a theme of loss and separation that echoes across the ages. Originally, the Ents and Entwives shared a bond as guardians of Middle-earth's living things. Yet, their philosophies diverged. While the Ents loved the wild woods and untamed forests, the Entwives sought order, creating orchards and gardens in the east. Their parting was a wound that never healed, and by the Third Age, the Entwives had vanished entirely, leaving behind only memories and legends. Tolkien's hints at the fate of the Entwives speak to something deeper, a mythic narrative of separation and loss. Some scholars suggest the Entwives story parallels ancient agricultural myths, where nature deities split into opposing forces. In Middle-earth, this separation mirrors humanity's own separation from the natural world, symbolizing an irreparable rift between untamed nature and cultivation. The Entwives' disappearance is thus more than a loss for the Ents. It is a loss for Middle-earth, a symbol of something beautiful and harmonious that has been lost forever. Tolkien may have drawn inspiration from myths of disappearing deities, such as the Greek Demeter and Persephone, which explore cycles of growth, loss, and renewal. The Entwives represent an older way of life, one where cultivation was still in harmony with the land. Their absence suggests a rupture in Middle-earth's balance, as if their departure took with it a part of the world's original wholeness. Some scholars believe the Entwives are a commentary on industrialization, which Tolkien saw as a destructive force erasing nature's harmony. The Ents, with their lament for the Entwives, represent an awareness that the world has changed irreversibly. Some theories suggest that the Entwives are still out there, hidden in a distant, forgotten land, tending to their fields in secret. Others speculate that they may have died during the wars of the First Age, their land scorched in Sauron's campaigns. But there is also a more haunting interpretation, that the Entwives are now spirits of the land, remnants that linger as silent witnesses to the loss of an ancient way of life. Treebeard's song is a lament, not just for his kin, but for a lost harmony, a vanished age of balance and beauty. In losing the Entwives, Middle-earth has lost a part of its soul. Chapter 3: The Blue Wizards, Lost in the East. The Blue Wizards, Alatar and Pelando, are figures wrapped in mystery, 2 of the 5 Astari sent to Middle-earth, whose fates lie beyond any recorded history. Unlike Gandalf, Saruman, and Radagast, the Blue Wizards disappeared from known accounts soon after arriving in Middle-earth. While Gandalf and Saruman fought against Sauron's influences in the west, the Blue Wizards ventured eastward. But what happened to them? Did they remain loyal to their purpose, or did they fall under the sway of Middle-earth's darker forces? Tolkien himself was uncertain about the Blue Wizards' fate. In early drafts, he describes them as falling into darkness, corrupted like Saruman. Yet in later notes, Tolkien suggests they might have succeeded in undermining Sauron's influence in the east, aiding resistance efforts that made the West's victory possible. This ambiguity has led scholars to speculate on the Blue Wizards' true role. Were they spiritual guides who established anti-Sauron cults, or advisors who helped eastern tribes rebel? Or did they abandon their mission, tempted by the same ambition that corrupted Saruman? Their journey into the East opens up a world of speculation. The East in Middle-earth, often described in vague, shadowy terms, has long represented the unknown and mysterious. For Tolkien, the East could symbolize the part of the world he chose to leave uncharted, a deliberate move that reflects his awareness of Western literature's biases. Some believe the Blue Wizards might have integrated into these Eastern societies, becoming figures of local myth or spiritual leaders whose influence is hinted at in shadowy tales from beyond Middle-earth's borders. In this way, they could be Middle-earth's equivalent of wandering sages, bringing knowledge and resistance to those outside the story's central narrative. While we may never know the exact nature of the Blue Wizard's influence, their presence suggests a form of resistance that Tolkien envisioned as existing outside the traditional narrative. Some theories propose that they were directly responsible for fomenting uprisings among the Eastern peoples who resisted Sauron. These anti-Sauron cults, if they existed, could explain why Sauron's forces were scattered and weakened by the time of the War of the Ring. The Blue Wizards might have operated in secrecy, acting as shadows who indirectly influenced Middle-earth's fate. In ancient mythologies, the East often represents both danger and wisdom, a place of knowledge that is both alluring and perilous. Figures like Alatar and Palando might draw inspiration from mystics or sages in Eastern myth, representing a wisdom that exists beyond the familiar Western ideals embodied by Gandalf. Some scholars suggest Tolkien was inspired by Christian missionaries who traveled eastward, entering realms and cultures beyond their own. This comparison casts the Blue Wizards as characters who may have adapted to the Eastern cultures they encountered, altering their mission to fit the world they found themselves in. Tolkien's later writings hint that the Blue Wizards may have been somewhat successful in their mission. They didn't bring outright victory against Sauron's influence in the East, but their presence might have helped fragment and delay his forces, creating small fires of rebellion. This resistance, though never directly documented, may have indirectly contributed to Sauron's inability to mobilize his full power against the free peoples of the West. The Blue Wizard's influence, though unseen, might echo in the distant lands of Middle-earth, a legacy woven into the unrecorded histories of the East. The Blue Wizards are a fascinating mystery because they remind us that Middle-earth is larger than the stories we know. Tolkien often spoke about the necessity of unexplored vistas, leaving parts of his world hidden to maintain a sense of depth and realism. By allowing the Blue Wizards to disappear into the East, Tolkien suggests that not all heroism happens in the spotlight. These figures, who may have struggled, failed, or quietly succeeded, reflect a theme of unknown sacrifice. They remind us that much of history is shaped by those who act in secret, their contributions lost to time, but not to impact. Did the Blue Wizards survive their mission, or did they perish in the hostile lands of the East? Some believe they were destroyed by Sauron's forces, or corrupted like Saruman, losing sight of their purpose. Others suggest they became something akin to myth themselves, immortalized as godlike figures or symbols of hope and defiance among the Eastern tribes. Ultimately, the Blue Wizards embody Tolkien's belief in a world with deep, unexplored mysteries. Their disappearance serves as a haunting reminder that Middle-earth's story is bigger than the tale we know, leaving us to wonder about the hidden struggles and unsung heroes beyond the familiar lands of the West. Chapter 4: The Shadow of Ungoliant, the Darkness That Lingers. Ungoliant is one of Tolkien's most terrifying creations, a being of such insatiable hunger and darkness that even Morgoth, the first Dark Lord, feared her. Her origins are shrouded in mystery, her motivations alien. We know little of where she came from, or who or what created her, but her existence suggests a force older and more dangerous than any in Middle-earth, a darkness that goes beyond the known evil of Morgoth or Sauron. In the Silmarillion, we learn that Ungoliant allied with Morgoth during the First Age to attack the Blessed Realm of Valinor. She consumed the light of the two trees of Valinor, plunging the world into darkness. But even Morgoth, who desired dominion over all life, feared her capacity for destruction. After she sated her hunger on the light, Ungoliant turned on Morgoth, attempting to devour him as well. This encounter suggests that Ungoliant is not a creature of conventional evil or even ambition. Her essence is pure consumption, a primordial force of annihilation. Where did she come from? Tolkien describes Ungoliant as an evil spirit in spider form, a description that leaves much open to interpretation. Some scholars speculate that she may be a fragment of the void, the dark nothingness that existed before creation. While the Ainur, including the Valar and Maiar, were brought into being by the music of the Ainur, Ungoliant may represent an entity outside that creation, a piece of the void that intruded into Arda. Her insatiable hunger could be symbolic of the void's own emptiness, an echo of the cosmic nothingness seeking to consume all light and life. Ungoliant's legacy lives on in her descendants, most notably Shelob, the giant spider who terrorized the mountains of Mordor. Yet Shelob is but a shadow of her dark progenitor. Ungoliant's influence seems to seep through Middle-earth, particularly in the dark and foreboding places, caves, ancient forests, the dead marshes, places where the absence of light takes on a tangible malevolence. Some have speculated that fragments of her darkness linger in these forgotten corners, as though her essence can never be fully eradicated. From a symbolic perspective, Ungoliant represents a fear of the unknowable, an evil that exists without reason or restraint. Unlike Sauron or Morgoth, who sought power, Ungoliant embodies an evil that is not motivated by ambition, but by an endless, nihilistic hunger. Tolkien, who was deeply influenced by Catholic theology, may have been exploring the concept of absolute darkness as a form of sin that exists beyond redemption or control. Ungoliant, in this sense, represents a primordial evil, an uncreation that stands in direct opposition to Eru Ilúvatar's light. According to some accounts, Ungoliant ultimately consumed herself in her own darkness, disappearing from Arda. But Tolkien never confirms her fate. Did she truly vanish, or does her essence linger in Middle-earth's deepest shadows, waiting to consume any remaining traces of light? Ungoliant is Middle-earth's embodiment of entropy, a being whose existence defies the very purpose of creation, reminding us that some aspects of darkness may never be fully vanquished. Chapter 5. The Ancient Spirits of Middle-earth. The First Shadows. Before even the First Age of Middle-earth, the world was alive with spirits, ancient beings that predated the elves, the dwarves, and men. These primordial spirits, often forgotten by the world's later inhabitants, shaped the earth in ways that remain hidden. Known only in fragments, these entities, possibly remnants of the Ainur, who chose not to serve in Valinor, or even stranger beings born from the land itself, are Middle-earth's first mysteries, beings woven into the land, sea, and air itself. In Tolkien's legendarium, most of Middle-earth's known figures, from the Valar to the Maiar and the Elves, follow a cosmic order set by Eru Ilúvatar. But there are hints of other, lesser-known entities scattered throughout the lore. Some scholars suggest that these spirits represent the genus loci, spiritual essences tied to specific places. Others theorize that they are primal Maiar, who chose to reside in Middle-earth rather than serve the Valar and Valinor. These beings may have been part of the music of the Ainur, but took a less conventional path, opting for solitude over dominion. These ancient spirits, while rarely mentioned, appear as whispers and rumors. Elves speak of strange beings in the darkened forests, and some dwarven tales hint at presences in the mountains, guardians or spirits, with knowledge older than stone. Such figures appear in passing in the Silmarillion and the Lord of the Rings, but Tolkien never gives them a detailed history. They remain elusive, possibly even unknown to the Valar themselves, beings who choose to live in harmony with Middle-earth's land rather than under a ruler. In many ancient cultures, there are myths of earthbound spirits, such as the Roman Penates, and Lairs, guardians of hearth and home, or the Norse Landvættir, spirits that protect and animate the land. Tolkien, a scholar of ancient mythologies, may have been inspired by these traditions, weaving such spirits into Middle-earth as a way of acknowledging the layers of myth and mystery that every land holds. Just as the elves embody an immortal, otherworldly beauty, these spirits represent the untamed, unknowable forces of Middle-earth, its ancient essence. The ancient spirits can be seen as a philosophical statement on the idea of memory and forgotten knowledge. Middle-earth, like our own world, is layered with eras and entities that may fade from common knowledge but leave a lasting presence. These spirits are Tolkien's way of suggesting that every place has a hidden past, a series of layers that remain even if they're forgotten by later inhabitants. In Tolkien's world, where knowledge is often preserved and revered, these ancient spirits represent a different kind of wisdom, one that is silent, inaccessible, and hidden in the very stones of Middle-earth. Some Tolkien scholars believe these ancient spirits may have a role in the end of Arda, during Dagor Dagorath, the final battle prophesied to mark the end of days. Their connection to the land itself could mean that, in times of great need, they might rise again, summoned to protect Arda and Middle-earth from destruction. Others believe they are simply witnesses to history, silent guardians who will continue their mysterious existence, even if the world changes beyond recognition. They are Middle-earth's hidden keepers, whose motives are unknown, representing Tolkien's belief that some mysteries will forever remain beyond our understanding.